Hello, it's Terry at Rustic Barn Cards. Welcome, Stampers. Thank you to those of you that are returning, and if this is your first time on my YouTube channel, welcome. I would love for you to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down below. If you click on that icon, that bell icon, you'll be notified when I upload videos. And I usually upload videos twice a week. On Monday, quick tips. And on Thursday, I share and create cards and give you techniques and tips along the way. Usually the last Monday of the month, I will share the paper pumpkin kit and some alternatives. Today, though, I'm going to create birthday cards from a really cute stamp set. I have 4 cards to share with you, so make sure you stay to the end to see all 4. So let's turn the camera down and let's start stamping. The stamp set I'm going to use is in the annual catalog, Special Someone on page 93, and it coordinates with Special Day dies on page 182. But before we look at the dies, I want to show you, if you notice that some of the images are shaded in, and that is because all the ones that are shaded, they have a die that coordinates and that will punch out each of those images. Here is the dies. There are 17 dies in here. And what I really like about the dies, if you'll notice, there are 2 heart dies and there's 2 balloons. So if you want 4 balloons on your card, you only have to die cut twice because you can cut 2 at a time. So that makes it really nice. And you have extra dies also. So a really fun set. So let's make our first card. And here is the stamp set that we're going to use that I just showed you in the annual catalog. So we're going to use this little image here of the raccoon, the mouse, and some balloons on our first card, and the happy birthday, because we need some birthday cards. And I hope you'll need some birthday cards. So here's the first card we're going to make. Although I'm going to add an extra layer, and I'm going to use Pool Party. Here I have used a Night of Navy. So I'm going to make the same card layout, but using Pool Party. So I'm going to lay this aside and bring in the materials that we need. So our card base is white, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I've already folded that. It looks like I had ink on my fingers, so we'll just flip those over. I have been stamping quite a bit today. So we need a layer of white and a layer of Pool Party. Our Pool Party is 5 1/4 by 4. Our white layer is 5 by 3 3/4. And then we need a scrap of white so we can stamp our sentiment. And a scrap of Pool Party also for a background for our sentiment. Okay, let's go ahead and do our stamping. So we are going to first layer, before we stamp, where I'm going to go ahead and layer the Pool Party layer down. So we'll bring in our liquid blue. And then sometimes it's easier. Looks like I have, let me grab a new card base because I'm not sure I can get that covered up, but we'll work on that later. Okay, sorry about that. Guess what happens when you don't check, make sure you have ink off your hands. Now we have a card base that doesn't have ink all over it. I can probably save the other card base. I'll definitely be able to use it, reuse it. Okay, now we're going to set this aside. and do our stamping. So I'll bring in our next layer, and we are using Pool Party, Gray Granite, and Early Espresso. I'm going to ink up our little raccoon in Pool Party. I do know that I've never seen a raccoon in this color, but we are going to do this anyway. And we'll stamp him over to the left. There we go. Get my stamp real quick. And now we are going to use, I'm going to lay that aside, and we're going to bring in the gray granite for the balloon, strings of the balloon. And I have already put my image. And we'll have, I'm going to try to make the string of the balloon look like it's coming from his hand. And then we will put 2 over here. Let's line that up. I want it a little bit. That'll work. And then I want 1, and I'm going to put that so it looks like a balloon has escaped from his hands. And then bring the Pool Party back in, and now we can stamp the balloons. So I'm going to use both stamps. We use the first stamp, and then I'll use the second stamp that will fill that in. So I'm going to use both Pool Party. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up and stamp up here. And stamp that one. And I'm going to come back with the Pool Party. And this will fill in, so I'm just going to lay it right on top. And I'm doing full strength. And I think this one I'm going to have not full strength, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp off, and then come back on my card and stamp so it's not quite as full strength. Well, it looks like going to be one of those days I get ink everywhere, but I'm going to lay this aside. We're going to try to fix that in a second. I'm going to bring in my scrap of white, and I want to use Pool Party for my sentiment. Happy birthday for a special someone. So I'm going to ink up our happy birthday. Put that right there. And then I'm going to bring in for a special someone. I'm going to line that up on the grid and take my block and pick that up. Make sure we have it turned the right way. Would be nice. Okay, and then we're just going to put this just right below. So happy birthday for a special someone. close up the pool party. Lay this aside, and I'm going to close up our gray granite because I'm definitely having problems with ink everywhere, right? Bring in my early espresso, and we're going to stamp our little mouse, and we may go ahead and see if we can do a two-step. Go ahead and do the outline and then fill him in. And we have just a little bit of ink left, so I'm bringing in a blend, dark crumb cake, and we're going to see if we can't just make this a little bit more of a shadow under here. To create more of a shadow, and that will cover up our mistake. So now we can go ahead and layer this on our card. I'm going to turn it over, bring in my silicone craft sheet. And my Stampin' Seal Plus. Sometimes it helps to get that started. On my craft sheet. See, I'm still having problems with ink on my hands. And I think it's because I ordered some new blocks, and they're not from Stampin'Up, and they're not all here. So some of the stamps I'm using are just not quite as good as Stampin'Up's, right? So let's go ahead and line this up. And now we're ready to bring in our sentiment. And I'm going to be using Stitch So Sweetly dies. And they are in the annual catalog. And I'm going to use the smallest and next to the smallest, the rectangles. That's in there. And actually I'm going to use the largest and next to the largest. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut this, lay that, and then bring in the little strips. I like to lay those just to make sure that when I take it through the cut and emboss machine, it'll stay right there. So I have that finished, and then I'm going to bring in the largest other rectangle die in the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I'm going to lay it so the flat side is toward me. So if you're new to stamping, you want the flat side of the die toward you, facing you. And let me run this through the cut and emboss machine. And here it is, and I just take those off. And here we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and we will adhere this and then put it on our card. Bring in that silicone craft sheet. That way I don't have adhesive on my workspace. So I'm just going to place Happy Birthday for a Very Special Someone, top of the pool party. Then I'm going to turn this over and I am going to add some dimensionals. And I'll bring in our card. And I'm going to place that right at the top. And here is our card in the pool party. You know what I think we'll do? I think we will stamp and die cut the balloon out because the sentiment is covering that. And we'll put one right here that is die cut. So we'll go ahead and ink up the outline of the balloon. I think I'll do two, just in case when I fill it in, I don't get it quite right. We have an extra one. So, and then we'll stamp. Okay, let me go die cut. I wanted to show you how easy it is to die cut these balloons out because you have 2 dies, so you can just line it up, put the little strip down or whatever you have, and again the flat side toward you. Okay, now I'm going to run it through the cut and emboss machine. And here we have a balloon, and we have another balloon. We just need one, but we can always keep one for extra. Okay, so now I am going to put adhesive at the top because this is already popped up, and then I'll put a dimensional underneath. So bring in our silicone. I'm going to put the glue dot down first. I said glue dot, but I meant a dimensional. So I put the dimensional at the bottom of our balloon and then add a little adhesive at the top. And I think I like that. Actually, I like that, how that stands out. The others are not. So you can add an embellishment if you want to also. So here is our first card, and this is our second card, and let's move on to our next card. For the next card, I'm going to be using Misty Moonlight, Gray Granite, Magenta Madness, and Early Espresso. So our card base is going to be white, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have cardstock Misty Moonlight, and it is the same as, it's going to layer right on top of our card, and it is 5.5 by 5.5 by 4 1/4. Sorry about that. So, but before I layer this, I'm going to go ahead and bring in, this is Painted Texture 3D Embossing. This is in the mini catalog. It's on page 33 of the new mini catalog, January through June 2021. And it's included in the Fine Art Floral Suite, but I'm going to just use the Painted Texture embossing folder on the birthday card today. This is going to be an embossing folder that I already know that I'm going to use over and over. So I'm going to put my cardstock inside, and then I'm going to go ahead and run this through the embossing. Make sure that you, if you're new to stamping, the side that is closed goes through first. If I had more space, I would show you using the cut and emboss machine, but I went ahead and run it through, and isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now I'm going to bring in a circle die from the Layering Circle Dies, and I'm going to go ahead and run this through the die cut machine so we have a circle. So we have a little window. And I've got this finished. And then I'll use this for something else. And this will be a little window. So we are going to stamp a raccoon in here. So I go ahead and use Early Espresso. inked up a raccoon. And then I'm just going to kind of lay this and kind of get a feel for where I want to put the raccoon. Straight down and straight up. I'm going to go ahead and add with gray granite. I'm going to add a little string for a balloon right there. And then we close this up, bring in our Misty Moonlight so we can stamp a balloon. I'll lay the card out this way so I get it better. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this balloon a little shorter, so I'm going to cover up the curlicues of the string. And then bring in our stamp that will fill in. Two-step stamping. And you can't even see that. So that way, the balloon will show through the little window. So we can put our window, this way. But of course, you won't be able to see that balloon. But if we turn it around, then you'll be able to see part of the raccoon and the balloon. So that is what we're going to do. And then we're going to add some more balloons and our sentiment on the outside of the card. So let me adhere this layer on our card. So I'm going to line up the layer of Misty Moonlight on front of the card base. I'm going to lay this aside so we can go ahead and bring in our white to stamp our balloons. I'm going to bring in Misty Moonlight. I'm going to stamp one balloon in Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to bring in my Misty Moonlight cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Get my head over and get it in the right spot. Okay. And then I'm going to lay that aside. And now we are going to go ahead, since we have the Misty Moonlight, we're going to go ahead and stamp a very special day. And lay that. Well, no, I still need this. I just don't need to put the Misty Moonlight ink away and bring in the Magenta Madness, because we are going to stamp some balloons in Magenta Madness. And we'll stamp, let's get the right stamp first. We're going to do the outline first. We'll do it full strength. I'm going to stamp 4. I may not use all 4, but we will stamp 4. And then we'll fill in. And then I'm going to stamp off. And have 2 that are not full strength on the balloons. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the gray granite, and we'll make the strings for the balloons, and then we'll die cut those. Okay, I'm going to go die cut those. This is the die cut for the strings, so it fits right over. There is just one of those, so I will need to run But I can run this through and I can do 2 balloons. And then I can move this over and I can do the other 2 balloons. And then I just have to run it through 2 times. So I have those, but I'm going to bring in the card and we are going to stamp inside. So we're going to put string of the balloon on that side and on this side. And I did that with the gray granite. I'm going to bring in the Misty Moonlight for our balloons, but I'm just going to use one stamp, the outline stamp. And this is inside the card. And then we will stamp Happy Birthday in Misty Moonlight inside the card. There we go. Before we put our card together, I'm going to bring in the double oval punch. If you do not have this, you will want this. This is awesome. To be able to punch out 2 labels at the same time is awesome. It's in the new mini catalog on page 65. Now you can buy it with a bundle with the oval occasions stamp set and the oval punch, or you can purchase the oval punch by itself. So I'm going to bring in a very special day, and we are going to place that down here. So I want it to be the smaller sentiment, so I can do Misty Moonlight. And bring in our scrap of Misty Moonlight. And I can just go ahead and punch once. I just punch the blue and not have to do 2. Or you can do 2, of course. You can do 2 at the same time, or you can do it separately like I did because I wanted to use 2 different colors. And they layer beautifully. Isn't that awesome? And how quick and easy. So the oval punch. Okay, let's put our card together. So I'm just going to kind of lay our string of our balloons. And I'm not going to pop up the strings, but I made the balloons. So we're just going to kind of place them. And I'm going to bring in some clear glue that will dry clear. And this is when I definitely need my silicone craft sheet. If you have fine tip glue, that would work great. I am out of my fine tip glue, so I need to get some more. Okay. Then we'll add so I went ahead and added the strings. I have 3. I do have a 4th string if I decide to. I have 4 balloons. So I'm just going to kind of place the balloons. And let's see if we can figure out how to maybe put another one right here. What do you think? Think we need that 4th one to make a total of 5. Be even on both sides. Well, it'll be 3 on this side. So, yeah, let me add that. And I think we need to pop up our balloons with dimensionals. So we'll just turn them over and add 1 dimensional on the back of each one. And then we will add our balloons. Pop those up. And it's sticking on my finger. Like, where did that go? I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. And now we're ready for our sentiment. So bring in our Stampin' Seal. Lay that right on here. Get it in the middle. And then we're going to turn it over and we're going to pop it up with some dimensionals. Now stay with me because I have another card just to show you. This is the last card we're going to make, but I have another card to show you that is different, using the same stamp set. So trying to give you lots of ideas. This is a really cute stamp set. And I'm going to put the sentiment, a very special day, in the bottom right hand corner. And then when you open it up, happy birthday, with 2 balloons inside. And we need to bring in an embellishment. And we could use the, I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight. I'm just going to put one right up here at the top. Okay, do you like it? Let me know if you like this card. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Let me show you the next card. The next card, this card I've used the same stamp set, but I've used Designer Series paper from the Celebration catalog. Remember, now through the end of February, order every $50 purchase from the annual or the mini catalog, you can choose a qualifying gift free from the Celebration. So a $50 order and you can choose a free gift. And on page 10 is the Flower and Field Designer Series paper. And I use this one right here. But let me show you really quick because this paper is beautiful. Aren't they gorgeous? Oh, I just can't wait to use this beautiful paper. And then on the back, you have all of these designs. And then remember to keep this back sheet because it will tell you all of the coordinating colors that go with the Designer Series paper. And you have 12 sheets, 12 by 12, and they're two-sided. And then I use 2 circle dies. My card base is real red, so I die cut real red and then white. And again, I use that oval punch that is so handy. And I put 3 embellishments from the annual catalog, Red Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and that's in the annual catalog. Stamped a little raccoon, and then I popped up the circles and also the balloons and the sentiment. So you have real red, white, and then a layer DSP. So another card layout to make a birthday card. Let me bring in the cards that I'm sharing with you. Don't forget, if you place an order using me as your demonstrator, this is the January, and that's QBVVHDUN. With the 2 V's there, it almost looks like a W, but it's not. It's VV. All right, so let me bring in the 4 cards. And I would love to know which one that you like the best. So, Night of Navy, Pool Party, Misty Moonlight, and Real Red. And of course, these two layouts are completely different and these two are the same. So I hope I've given you some ideas for birthday cards. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave me a comment. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.